Consultation Podcast Network.
Hey, have you seen the new hit film that people are saying, and I don't know if this is true or not, first ever black superhero film that's taking the world by storm, Black Panther?
I have seen it, actually, and I've got to say, you're wrong about it being the first black superhero movie. It's not.
No, it's not. It isn't?
No, and I hope that takes away from your enjoyment of the film, because it's not the first black superhero movie. Because if we go back in time to the 90s, good time period, there's Blade. Do you remember Blade?
I do.
Didn't that strike you as a all-black superhero film?
No, because Chris Christopherson's in it.
Exactly, my point exactly. Hardened, grizzled Western man. All-black cast. Let's go back further than that. Don't you remember all the blaxploitation films that could be considered superhero films? How about Shaft? Shaft is a superhero, right?
Kind of.
Well, now you know. I just schooled you on Black Panther. I hope that affects your enjoyment of the film, because it's not the first black superhero movie. That makes all the difference in how you view this.
Well, I've been told a lie, then, I guess.
You absolutely have been.
My world is crumbling.
Shaken. Absolutely shaken.
To the core.
Blood and Black Rum Podcast presents Black Panther. Hey guys, welcome back to the Blood and Black Rum Podcast. I'm Ryan from Coexploitation.com, and I'm joined by my co-host Martin.
How's it going?
And we're back with a new episode today on a blockbuster film, part of the Marvel universe of films that we've covered since, when did we start? What was the first one we started covering there?
Civil War.
Civil War was the first one picked up on, and we've been at them ever since. Actually, the only one I think that we missed was Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah,
and that's because that's more of a me and my wife thing, I guess. I don't know. It's become that, but other than that, we've done them all. I want to first apologize for the potential audio quality that we have. Unfortunately, we had some issues with mics, and one of my mic lines, the cord is kind of broken on it. So I got to get a replacement for that. So in the meantime, we're going old school. We're going to do one mic today. Normally we got two, and then, normally the sound's a little bit better, but we're going to deal with it.
Gonna violate each other's personal space.
Yeah, there's no reason why we should take a break this week, as we already have, every other week schedule as it is now. So can't be missing too many weeks, or else you don't do any in a month. And then it's pretty crazy. So apologize for any audio issues that you might have.
People will think you're canceled, and we'll just have to rebrand and start from scratch.
That's right. So yeah, today we're doing Black Panther.
The 18th Marvel film.
Yes.
Isn't that
And like actually starting to become the beginning of the end, really.
Of this arc.
Yeah, we're coming to the beginning of the end, which is pretty crazy, to be honest with you. And as you were saying, some of the events in Black Panther actually happened like 5 films ago.
Has to have.
Yeah, like Civil War's whole aspect to it. That's all happened. Now, like 5 films back in the Marvel, even though it doesn't seem like it, we've gotten a lot of films since then.
They really, like I said, at this point, like, because it is such, an on-running serial, they really should have, like, previously on the MCU.
Yeah,
like,
it would help,
and then,
for sure.
And then, so, show, like, what happened in Doctor Strange and what happened in this. Like, just, like, even though they're all kind of singular stories at the same time, they're all going to connect because,
or at least show the areas where they do connect.
Because Thanos is coming.
Or just have a very complicated, like, Venn diagram.
Well, it's literally what you
displayed.
It's literally what you need. Like, okay,
Yeah.
So this is how, especially at the the second end credits to this, like It's like, this is how Captain America fits into Black Panther, which is going to fit into...
Exactly. Like, you do. You need...
I was also thinking, too, because they are splitting up Infinity War into 2 movies. I almost feel like the first one's going to be like 3 hours, and it's just going to be them for 2 hours and 45 minutes. Just like, this is how we all run into each other. This is how Doctor Strange runs into Thor, and who ran into the Guardians of the Galaxy, who before that ran into Jeff Goldblum, going, oh, hi, hey, wow. You know, who ran into the Hulk, who ran into, you know... and then it'll just be like 15 minutes of, like, Thanos then just slaps them, like, I win. And it's like, how do our heroes get out of this mess? And then it'll be the next one.
Rocky and Bullwinkle style at the end.
No, that's in Wonder Woman.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I think, too, you have to supplement the amount of cast that's in Infinity War by being like, let's break this into 2. We're like, we've got literally every big name actor in Hollywood in this right now, besides maybe Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
I don't,
because they're not really crossing over, but
because they can't, because Fox owns the rights to
and
X-Men.
so you've got like basically every other big name person in Hollywood that's in this film, and it's like we need like 2 blockbuster movie releases at this time. We not just 1 ticket sale, we need 2.
You know, it's just, and it's funny too. I'm hoping Hugh Jackman's content with the money he has in life now. And you know how Marvel was able to get Spider-Man finally from Sony? Like okay, they were able to get the rights back. I'm hoping that will soon happen. Like, because what are X-Men films? Like, they do an X-Men film, it sucks. They're like, we'll do a Wolverine movie, and then they do a Wolverine movie, and people are like, yay! And then they do another X-Men film, and it sucks. And like, we'll do another Wolverine movie.
They got the New Mutants coming out pretty soon.
So it's hopefully like Hugh Jackman's like, I'm done, I'm out. I have enough money now. And then Marvel and Disney can swoop on and be like, we'll get these rights back from you, Fox. You know, you're done. Just stop. And then we can finally, get the...
They gotta have enough money by now.
Hugh Jackman?
Not Hugh Jackman, but in general, Disney and Marvel, to buy those rights. If they really wanted to, they could.
Yeah, they could literally just give... It's fucking Walt Disney. They can just... You think getting the rights back from Fox for the X-Men would like cost more than it cost them to get Star Wars? Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
X-Men's nowhere near the level of all they'd have to do is give Fox a blank check and be like, you write down a number you think's appropriate. And this will all be settled.
That'd probably be the best way to do it.
They should.
Because whatever you throw out as Disney, I'll give you this for it. Fox is going to be like, no.
You got more.
There's going to be haggle room there. Because they know there's haggle room. But if you give them a blank check and you're like, write down what you think this is worth, it's probably going to be less than what they would have gotten it for had they just told them a number.
It's mainly because even though I'm getting superhero movie fatigue, as we'll talk about in this review and we've mentioned before, I would like to see Disney and Marvel do X-Men. And tie it in. Sure.
I mean, I think everybody would in some way. Why wouldn't you want to see all of these disparate elements come together? And especially because you know that X-Men can't. There's that much more of like, I wish it would.
Well, that's why it was great when they got Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly. And it was just like a nice surprise. Yeah, they would be the same.
It's turned out to be one of the best Marvel films as we talked about before.
Even like with Deadpool. It would be kind of fun to see Deadpool in there because he does have a lot of a different feel and a much grittier, but also like humorous, comical and adult. Whereas some of the MCU films are very much like, I would say family friendly. There's death. Some people die, but there's never really like the grimness.
Well, you could bring that
or
up too,
adultness of
talk about the ending of this.
Yeah, absolutely. We will get into Black Panther a little bit later. Speaking of Black Panther, though, I just wanted to quickly kind of give context to our opening because I think it's pretty funny that there's been a lot of talk with Black Panther of how it is like the first black superhero film, and in a lot of ways, it's a really important characteristic. It's a really important cultural moment because while there are some heavy detractors out there who will immediately shut that down and say, wait, no, it's not the first black superhero film. In the scheme of things, it doesn't really matter. And it doesn't temper the enjoyment of people who are going to see Black Panther and really excited for a one, main protagonist who's black, and two, a primarily black cast.
Outside of
Martin Freeman.
Yeah.
Other than that, primarily black. And that's a big thing, and it doesn't. You can't really detract from it by saying, "Well, he's not the first one," because I would argue that that's entirely not the point. But it was just funny because we did have someone that I know, and I've seen a few people who really have to just quickly temper the excitement over a black superhero by saying he's not the first one, and we kind of wanted to throw a running joke out there about that.
At the same time, too, the people who are really excited about that. Shouldn't you also be offended that it's taken 18 fucking films? We've had
to get one
3
sure.
Iron Man films, and kind of after Civil War, what's Iron Man been doing? Who the fuck knows what Tony Stark's been doing? He's just kind of, we got Benedict Cumberbatch now, as Doctor Strange to be the, Sorcerer Supreme. So he's Iron Man, but he's a sorcerer. Because what is Doctor Strange except, he's not a drunk billionaire tech guy. He's a rich, drunk surgeon.
Yep. Basically. With snarky humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Benedict Cumberbatch is kind of the British version of...
Robert Downey Jr.
Yeah.
Sure. And he's got a fun name to say.
Oh, absolutely. I thought you were joking to me when you first told me back when we were playing Red Dead Redemption about Benedict Cumberbatch. Nope. I thought you were talking about someone's gamer tag.
Absolutely not. No, the real person, Benedict Cumberbatch. The real name, Benedict Cumberbatch.
Cumberbund.
Yeah. Let's take a break real quick. We'll come back. We'll talk about some beer, and then we'll go into Black Panther. All right. So today on the show, we have a new beer. We haven't had this beer before, and we haven't had this brand, this brewing company before, primarily because it's not available around here. Never seen this brewing company before, have you?
No.
Never heard of it, never seen it?
Nope.
It's Epic Brewing. They are based out of Denver, Colorado. And that might be one of the reasons why we've never seen them, because they might not make it out this far. I don't know how big they are, so I don't know what their exporting is. But I definitely know that I've never seen this out and around here. Now, I went to my friend's house in Massachusetts over the weekend, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, and they were kind enough to get me a couple different beers to try, and one of them was this Epic Brewing IPA, but it's not just your regular old IPA. It's a Tart and Juicy Sour IPA, which basically means that it's a combination of a Gose and an IPA style. Now, that's interesting, because I can definitively say that I've had probably almost every IPA style there is, but I've not had a Gose IPA.
Have you had the New England yet?
Yeah, I've had a New England before, because I lived in New England, so I've had the New England.
I thought that was a new thing.
It's not really a new thing. It's been around, and they've only just begun to start calling it the New England IPA, which I don't know if I really believe all that hubbub.
Well, I was getting mad, too, because we're talking about Sam Adams when it comes to that. I was getting mad, too, because on Spotify, I constantly get ads for Sam 76. And it's like, it took us 1,400 tries, but we finally got it. Our Sam 76 is a fine blend of ale and lager. I was thinking, that's called a cream ale.
Yeah.
They probably don't make it like a cream ale, but I'm like, that's
right.
Technically a cream ale.
Right.
And your beer does not taste like a cream ale. That's like a whole. We've reviewed that before.
We did that one.
Well, I found that funny.
Yeah, I mean, and the I don't know how you would say it, NIPA, any IPA. That's been around for a while. Like New England breweries have been trying to claim that as like a new style of IPA, New England style IPA.
So it's like different than West Coast.
Right, exactly. Like West Coast IPA. It doesn't use the same type of hops. Apples. Potato.
Is it like different hops that they grow here, or is it literally just like the fact that they're grown here, they're basically growing the same damn hops, but because they're grown in fertile New England soil,
Yeah,
gives it a dirtier, earthier freedom taste.
I don't know. I guess you'd have to see what kind of hops they're putting in, because I don't know what they're using.
Well, we can ask at Beer Fest, because they're going to have that.
I'm gonna try it. I know that New England IPAs have been around for a while. I've heard it quite a bit. Like my friend that I went to school with him in college. He works at one of the breweries down in Massachusetts. Not St. Adams, not a bigger brewery, but he at a smaller style brewery, and they brew like clown shoes and things like that. And he was already saying like New England style IPA before Sam's came out with this New England IPA. And so it's been around, and they've been trying to claim that, which I think is, like I said, it's like potato. They're really, I mean, it's really, they're all in IPA style. You're just using different types of hops.
Did you tell them the IPA market's been tapped out?
Right.
How about a nice like Belgian beer?
And I know that we kind of gotten we seem like we got off the beaten path there with what we were talking about. We were talking about the Sour Ghost IPA, but it really makes sense because, as I said before, I feel like I've had almost every style of IPA that you can have, besides possibly like some really weird single hopped IPAs, like different hops just singly in there. At the same time, I had never had a Ghost IPA, never sour IPAs. Not really a big thing. I haven't seen them.
Not something I'd think to combine either.
Exactly. It seems like a weird fit. And the same thing too with like the coffee style IPAs. That's pretty weird too, but it's a clever combination. I think it does.
But that's something too. I think somebody who smokes 2 joints is also,
You know what? This
likes,
would be pretty cool.
Likes their beer, sitting there drinking the artisan coffee that costs, $40 for like 5 K-cups.
Yeah.
They wouldn't dare,
No cake. Yeah, no. The whole bean coffee.
Yeah.
$40 for a pound of whole bean coffee. There you go.
Sitting there.
They're drinking both at the same time. Yeah.
And be like, whoa, that kind of tastes good together. It's literally one of the ideas that had to be thought up of after like smoking a couple of joints or hitting the bong.
Double fisting faster than a hardcore porn.
Yeah, just be like...
Yeah. And
I want my morning wake up and I want my morning beer,
But I gotta say though that I am, even though again, like I guess this episode is kind of about being tapped out of certain things, like tapped out of Marvel movies or superhero movies, tapped out of IPAs. We complain a lot about that stuff, but at the same time, I do appreciate that they're trying those new things and not just tacking a color on. Like, this is a purple IPA. This is a yellow IPA. It's got piss in it.
So, people who don't like IPA say they taste like pine piss. So I mean,
but I like that they're trying new things. They got the coffee IPA. I think for the most part it works. I do like those. And now this sour IPA, I think it's actually really good, especially if you are a big fan of both styles. Like, I know that some people just are never going to be a big fan of Ghosts. It's just something that is a really, I don't know if it's an acquired taste or something. Like, if you like, pickles, you're going to like it more. So I don't know. But sour beers are just not for everybody.
Here's your next IPA, pickle
IPA. Right, exactly. There is an untapped market there.
I would try that.
I would try.
I mean, I as one who has stayed before on the podcast, I'm not a Ghost fan.
Right. You're just not.
I do think it is starting to grow on me though, because before I'd find it way too sour. Now I'm getting, especially depending on the fruit. This one's an orange, and just general citrus. So, and I like citrus and I like orange. So the sourness I can tolerate, and it's not that bad. So I think Gozes are slowly starting to kind of, I'm not saying liking, but I'm becoming more tolerant of them on the palate. So, but even that being said, it's an odd mix. I can see how it'd be, because it's only 4.5 alcohol ABV. I can see how it'd be kind of like, hey, you don't want a session you want something kind of different from a session IPA? You got this. Yeah. And so they have this, hybrid. So it's like really sour, like wow, and then you get hit with the hops. Like I said, I think it's an interesting mix, but it's not for me. The sour, it's really heavy and present in the front, and the back end's a very underwhelming IPA for me. I think it's just kind of it's meh. It's there. There's nothing discerning about it. Which because it's only 4.5 alcohol, it's got to be like essentially it's session IPA, so that would make sense. But at the same time, it's just not for me. I couldn't see myself sitting down and being like, this is something I really want. I'd rather have like Genesee's orange honey cream ale, that tastes like a beautiful creamsicle on like a nice hot summer day than this.
I actually think this is really good. I like Ghosts. They're not my favorite style, but I can drink one or two. I love IPAs. So combining them together does make sense to me. I think you do get that citrus taste of this Ghost. It's not a crazy Ghost style. It's definitely a citrus that's become a little bit more sour and tart. And then you do get that IPA hoppiness at the end. I think that one thing that does make this a little strange is that Ghosts tend to be less carbonated than what IPAs are, and so this is like a less, very, very light carbonated IPA. And that might be a little bit weird because that's technically what would be considered like a green IPA, where it's not been carbonated. So it does add a little bit of a different like texture element too, that you're not getting that carbonation. But I think it's really good, and I know I gave it a much higher rating than you did, but I think it really is really dependent on whether you like the Ghost part of this beer. Because if you don't like a Ghost at all, I mean, there's no real reason to try this. Because
if you don't like IPAs,
there's no reason. Probably more so if you like Ghosts but not IPAs would be a better thing to try rather than doing like if you like IPAs but not really Ghosts, because I would say in that sense not really worth it for you to try it because it's primarily a heavy sour beer. But if you like IPAs or if you like sours and you're not really sure about the IPA area, then I would say give it a try because that IPA flavor is kind of limited to the back end of this beer. So check it out though. Epic Brewing. Never had them on the show. Proud to present it.
They had to have been created in the 90s. That's epic, like
Epic Brewing.
Like 92.
Yeah, it doesn't really say like
That's my guess.
92. Denver, Colorado. After getting off ski lift.
Yeah.
That was epic, man. You know what you should do? Open a brewing company. I don't know why it sounded like a weird Brooklyn style Denver, Colorado guy, but pretty poor impression, I guess. I don't know what Coloradians sound like, so probably much like you and I.
Yeah, my aunt doesn't have an accent.
Yeah, that's what I would think. Should we go right into Black Panther? Get right down to it.
Into the nitty gritty.
Our superhero movies do tend to run long, so we'll give it a go.
Well, there's a lot to cover, and
there is. There's a lot to cover. So, first black superhero movie, Black Panther. Also, let's just start out by talking through the plot a little bit here, because Black Panther is technically an origin story for Black Panther, and yet we already saw Black Panther, and we kind of know how he technically becomes Black Panther. So,
he's already the Black Panther.
Right, exactly. He basically is. So there's that gray area here where you have this Black Panther story, and it's technically supposed to be some sort of origin story, as much of the Marvel movies have done previously by setting out, here's this character and here's how they became it. And yet you don't. And yet the first hour and a half of this film is really just about Black Panther, T'Challa, becoming Black Panther, becoming king, being crowned, going through the ritual ceremonies in his home country of Wakanda in Africa. Real place. Look it up on the map. And spending a lot of that opening of the film really documenting all of those rituals, trying to flesh out how Wakanda operates. It's a semi-futuristic society, but then they have warring tribes. They have some of them are more ritual based, some of them are more primitive.
Well, I was gonna say, I wouldn't say it's semi-futuristic. It is futuristic. The vibranium, which is the MacGuffin of the film, and the MacGuffin of Black Panther's
And
story
yeah.
is because the country of Wakanda is totally based on vibranium, which is in the Marvel universe the strongest,
the equivalent of like Superman's, Kryptonian elements and things like that. I would say, it's they're very similar in that respect. So yeah, and in the vibranium itself too, you're right, is a MacGuffin because, I mean, though the film does make a lot of use out of vibranium in that it created this Wakandan area where they could harvest this power, give it to the Black Panther, create their entire civilization around vibranium, and in terms of like having vibranium driven sound waves in order to power trains and things like that.
drives all their tech. And...
yeah. I mean, that element to it actually, even though it's about the search for vibranium, it becomes a smaller scope than what actually really becomes the main crux of the plot, which is basically a revenge story about one guy who was left out of this Wakandan empire. I don't know. Is it Wakandan? Sounds strange, but I guess that's that's the right term for it. But this guy who was left out of the Wakandan empire kind of left to fend for himself after his father was killed by the original Black Panther, the first, or not the original, but T'Challa's father at that time, the Black Panther, and then, ostracized from the community, whereas nobody even really knew about him. And so that really becomes the main element of this film, the driving force for the plot. And that takes probably about the middle act into the third act to really formulate. Now, I think I'll get right into it here and say, the big thing about Black Panther that really stuck out to me while watching it was that it did take a long time to get to the main point of this plot, that there's a lot of meandering in the beginning of this film in order to really set up like T'Challa taking control and becoming king in Wakanda, of setting up some really not very important elements to the film, like of a heist sequence, of Claw, who becomes sort of
for about 45 minutes of this film, it's a James Bond film.
Yeah, almost like or
Mission Impossible.
Claw,
which, by the way, you saw Spectre with me, right?
Right.
Didn't when they entered the South Korean underground casino?
Yeah,
didn't that look
did.
like Blofeld's lair when he's
it did, yeah.
when Bond first runs into him in Spectre and you hear Christoph Waltz like cool,
yeah.
Jay. That's literally the thing. Like they just walk out to this set of Spectre like, hey, like they like asked United Artists and MGM like, you using this? No, we haven't done anything in like 4 years now. Can we borrow that? That casino looked pretty cool. That Asian casino looked pretty cool.
Well, it does in a lot of ways. Black Panther resembles like a Bond film in that opening scenario, because you have T'Challa's sister, who is basically like a Q character, who's creating all of these gadgets and gizmos.
Part princess, part spunky teen. Part Q.
Or like Penny from Inspector Gadget or some shit like that. That she's almost sort of like a combination of Q and Penny from Inspector Gadget.
Just needs
rolled
like
into
one.
Yeah.
Brain to help her too.
Yeah, exactly. And then you literally have Claw. I think they stole a lot of this from Inspector Gadget.
And Get Smart.
They took our early script of Inspector Gadget, where Inspector Gadget was black, and then they rolled it into Black Panther. No, but I felt like Black Panther takes a really long time to really get started, and it spends a lot of time on the ritual aspects of really T'Challa becoming king. And I don't know that that's the best way to spend the film's opening, and I'm going to go out on a limb and say 45 minutes to an hour of that is really just this ritual of becoming king, doing a ritual challenge and stuff like that.
I'll say, to be fair, though, most of the Marvel films up to this point do that.
I agree.
Like, if you think, like, especially like with the origin stories, like Doctor Strange, same length.
Yep.
It takes fucking forever.
No, I agree. I don't disagree with that. I think that's true.
So I think that's more of a Marvel writing directive problem where the first act is front loaded to hell. Because the third act in this
is like
20 minutes, 15 minutes, the final battle. Because I looked at right when it was starting, I'm like, how much more time we got? I'm like, 15 minutes. Good,
Yeah.
Good God.
Right.
So
it's going to be start and finish in that amount of time, and it's really quick.
But again, it's a problem with but with this film being front loaded like that, and the second act kind of being truncated, and the third act just being totally, blitzkrieg.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think that's not a Black Panther problem. That's just the Marvel It's a flaw in the Marvel universe, because Thor Ragnarok took, they were fucking dithering about forever. And Doctor Strange, they were dithering about forever in the first,
Probably only Spider-Man Homecoming is one that doesn't.
Was well paced. Yeah. It was like.
No, I definitely agree with that. I don't think that this is a problem inherent only to Black Panther. What I will say, though, is that I feel like even though the opening scenes of exposition perhaps are not different from other Marvel films, they could have been used and still have been exposition and still had that second and third act of really remaining like a kind of a marathon to get through it. That first act could have been used in better ways than how they spent their time doing that. Like, I don't know that we needed to see such a lengthy amount of time where T'Challa has a dream vision, except for the fact that it really sets up a mirror scenario later in the film after, and I guess we should throw this out now, and it should be totally expected, but spoilers if you haven't seen it.
Well, I was gonna say, who does reviews of films in length now, where they're not delving?
I agree, but I'll just say it just to get it out there. So spoilers, but the only thing that like the vision sequence and some of the ritual aspects, like the ritual fights challenges, they only set up a mirror scenario later on when T'Challa is overthrown and then Erik Killmonger takes over, because then you also get his same dream visions and how they are somewhat different of, how they both have lived their lives, one in Wakanda, one outside of it. You do get that sort of mirror scenario there. But other than that, I don't think that Black Panther spends its time wisely in the beginning of the film, just kind of slowly walking through how T'Challa becomes king in Wakanda. I think a lot of it has to do with, hey, we want to set up how Wakanda looks. We want to give it sort of a realistic, here's how Wakanda operates, basically.
I think, I do think it's good to see, how actually Wakanda is, because they're, isolationist from the rest of the world, because they're the gatekeepers of vibranium, and they don't want it getting out, so they're very isolationist. They, until recently, haven't been known.
They're kind of like a secret.
Yeah.
No one knows about them.
It's just like a fucking forest area in the middle of Africa, because the vibranium they have it create a shield around it, so it hides, the city. So it's like El Dorado, as Claw says, it's El Dorado, but it's not in South America. It was in Africa all along,
basically.
But I think it's cool to see how Wakanda looks, how it operates, and all that. But the part I will agree, so I'll disagree with you there. I think the universe building and the character building there is good. My problem is with when I agree with you, the whole time it takes for him to become king. Literally, his dad died fucking 5 films ago.
Right. We see it. We see what happened there.
So at the start of this film, you didn't need to see him on a Black Ops thing in Nigeria, meeting up with an old love interest who was there. You didn't need to see that shit. You can just have it let's get to the ceremony. Get to the ceremony of him becoming king. Show him becoming king. And then you can explore what Wakanda's like.
And then
you don't have
exactly.
You don't have to, and then him finding out about, Claw. You don't need to have all this this early setup on Claw, what he did beforehand, and I mean you do to have the setup of the intro, which the cold opening, which happens in Oakland.
Yeah, you got Sterling K. Brown there as Killmonger's dad, and brother of T'Challa's father.
Yeah.
So that's
that part I'm fine with, but like I said, like after that, just get to we already know. His dad's dead.
Exactly.
And died in Civil War. Because again, like I said, these films are serials. We're on to the 18th film. If you're just jumping in at this point, you don't need to have 30 minutes like dedicated to that. Literally after that opening to set up like this is why when Killmonger shows up, how he ties in, because he's his cousin.
Yep.
And he's looking for, to take over Wakanda because he thinks him and his dad got screwed.
Yeah.
Then you don't need to have like the building that they did beforehand. You can literally just have after that cold opening and you get the Marvel credits, then bam, let's get to here's, T'Challa becoming king and what he needs, instead of him doing that, like I said, that's that spy mission in Nigeria and then walking around Wakanda talking to his ex-love who's like, oh, I don't know, and then, and doing all this other bullshit, and then 30 minutes in, like, now let's get to the ceremony. Because you can still build the character of during the ceremony, have moments where he's talking to his sister, to his mother, to his love interest, to, his, general. You can have all that going on, like, have him having those conversations while he's going through because you can still show, like, the actual ritual of him becoming king to then set up the fight, the mirror scenario later. But you don't need, like, a bunch of shit that happens beforehand.
Yeah, you don't need an hour of it.
Yeah.
And that's my biggest problem, too, was I guess you could have gotten away with it had Civil War not already shown, basically, that T'Challa was already within lineage. He was going to take on the role of King and Black Panther. That was already set up within Civil War. We didn't really need to see it again, and I felt like had the film, for those not initiated who really just wanted to see Black Panther but didn't really know the Marvel Universe, it would have been fine to just show the footage of T'Challa not being able to save his father and him getting blown up and him dying. I mean, and that's really all you need to know. Then from that point on, you can really put together, the ritual ceremony, the dream sequence, why he becomes king because of his royal lineage. You don't need all of the other stuff that takes 45 minutes to get to. And the reason that I say that I was kind of upset with it taking so long is that not that I felt like Black Panther was too long of a film, although I do think it was quite slow at times. The bigger issue I felt is that they just spent way too much time on T'Challa becoming king, where they could have spent it on characterizing Erik Killmonger a bit more. Because while I think that his character is a sympathetic villain, and that's really what they were going for, is a sympathetic villain that, obviously has done some bad things, but really just has a different perspective on things. We don't really get to know that much about Killmonger whatsoever. Everything that we know about him has been told to us through exposition throughout the entire film. He was in the military. He did this. He did that. He's destabilized countries.
Well, that's why I think that's why it's Martin Freeman, right?
Martin Freeman, yeah.
That's why he's there. Literally just
right, exactly. It's like we need a CIA guy to just tell everybody what this Killmonger has done. And it's really problematic because I feel like had Black Panther spent more time just legitimately characterizing Killmonger, showing him a bit more as a human being, as what he went through, this film would have been a lot stronger as a villain, because this villain
would be more sympathetic.
Sympathetic and potentially more unique to the Marvel Universe than rather just, another ultimate supreme baddie who just wants to take power over everything. There was potential here, and I felt like they could have done this within the first hour where we see T'Challa crowned. And to be honest with you, Killmonger is nowhere to be found in the first act and almost all of the second act. He's really just kind of cut back. And that's unfortunate because I think Michael B. Jordan is pretty good as Killmonger when he gets the moments to shine. But when he doesn't, he's really just a face that has, it's like shoehorning that villain in to be the supreme, villain of the film. And I would have really liked to have seen them work a little bit harder to characterize this person rather than, literally have Martin Freeman give us all the information that we ever will know about him. It was too quickly done to really garner sympathy or empathy from an audience who's looking for a bit more with their characterization.
And I think too, if you're doing that whole ritual sequence and leading up to the challenge that, he originally wins to become king, you could have spent that hour while he's like getting ready for that and prepping and talking to, his sister and his mother and his, love interest.
Yeah.
While he's doing that, cut to Killmonger and him preparing and have, instead of the one, tribesman that shows up to challenge him, instead of having those two challenges, just have, like, right after that, have Killmonger show up.
Right. It could have saved a lot of time.
And they'd be like, how the hell did you get in here? And he'll look, it could show, like, because they have, Wakandans have, like, a tattoo of vibranium on their bottom lip to show, that they're Wakandan.
They're part of Wakanda.
So that's when he could have just showed up, and then he could have beat him. And so right when you think Black Panther, who's been building up to becoming king, instead of him becoming king and then having the trial and tribulation, have that just originally just like taken from him. And then you can build more to how...
It would have been a more surprising thing too, because literally everybody just expected him to become king, no problem.
So right off the get-go, you have that, and then you have another hour plus to then dive into...
Here's this Killmonger. This is what happened to him.
And go even deeper into that, and how he rules as king, what he wants to do, why he wants to do it. And at the same time, have T'Challa having to redeem himself and having to regain his strength and all that kind of Again, it's cliche, but it works. It's tried and true. And then have him come, and then it's like the battle of ideologies. Who's because if you think about it. In the purest terms, what if you were to kind of describe Killmonger and T'Challa as two people? Who are they? It's Malcolm X versus Martin Luther King Jr. One favors, Killmonger by any means necessary. Because one of the cruxes of his characters in this is growing up, basically abandoned by Wakanda because his father was killed by his uncle. And
it was a lie, basically.
And not taken in, and having to grow up in America and go through all the trials and tribulations, which they don't really talk about. He just exposits, which I think, again, if you show like what his experience was like as an African American in America,
especially in Oakland,
or anywhere, it would be more impactful. I mean, and then because T'Challa grows up in Wakanda and has the benefit of Wakandan society, all the riches it bears.
Literally a royal.
Yeah. You have that contrast. And I'm not saying Martin Luther King Jr. had that, but again, T'Challa's viewpoint is, he wants to help the world and because he's got a good heart. He's struggling with opening Wakanda up to help the world because of the dangers it might have, while Killmonger saying, after everything he's been through, he wants to benefit black people across the world by any means necessary, whether that means force or not, he's going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where you get that dichotomy, that ideological battle. But again, and this film's getting a lot of praise for that. Like, wow, so, creative. But at the same time, it's very at the surface. It's, very surface level. That
a lot of it is exposited as dialogue.
Yeah, and so unless you're an African American watching this film and you know all that stuff already and have like and you can connect to it and like, I got it. Like this, like how people when they saw Get Out, how when African Americans saw Get Out and had like a certain like reaction to it, then us as white people aren't going to have like the same reaction to, because you can't really relate to it on the same level because you haven't gone through it. So a lot of people probably watching this film, though it's like they're showing like, hell yeah, like he's gone through problems Killmonger has of being a black person in America and seeing the struggles that black people have across the world. Again, it's just exposited. You're not shown it. So it's like, okay, you did, props for you for trying to talk about this issue. You don't really talk about it. You're not showing it.
Yeah,
whereas it's something like a blaxploitation film in the 70s, like Shaft, Black Caesar, Sweet Sweetback, The Spook Who Sat by the Door. They show like all the go more into detail with problems and
prejudices
and what it's like being an African American in America.
Right.
So the social commentary part to me on this feel like, again, it's good for them for doing it, but at the same time, it's more, to me, it just comes off more as lip service. Because again, we've reviewed Black Caesar on here. If you watch Black Caesar, it's got a lot more biting social commentary to it than this does. Though our hero, and it's not a hero, he's an anti-hero because he's a gang leader. We still get to, see him get beaten by the cops as a kid, and, the racism that he faces, all that, the things, and him striving to be, rich because that's what's been ingrained in his mind from, the beginning to, like, you gotta get out of the ghetto. Where, like, this film's, it's
right.
Again, it's surface level.
I think the surface level also comes from the fact that, like, it's literally just comes from the dialogue that Michael B. Jordan gives throughout the film. Like, there's that whole, his final words about him not wanting to die shackled as a slave. He'd rather die free, thrown into the ocean like his ancestors before him. Very, very surface level depiction of that. So it's almost like, if you're not really getting what we're saying on a thematic level, then here it is literally spelled out for you in like a dialogue level. And I think that a lot of people are, and I'm not saying that this is like wrong or that you shouldn't, but I think a lot of people are willing to gloss over how poorly characterized Killmonger really is. Because really, on the scheme of things, I would say that he is literally just a secondary character that is elevated to villain status simply because he needs to be. And that's a problem to me because there is time in the film to really rectify that. Well, and again, it just doesn't do that.
And like I said, if they restructure the first act, like we kind of said, you go more into that. And so he is, again, that makes him more, as like some have called it, like a Shakespearean film. That makes him more of a tragic hero. If you go into that, you makes him sympathetic. You can get behind that. There's nothing like, again, bringing up the whole like dichotomy between like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. If I think about it, like logically, my mind says like, well, obviously, peaceful protest is the better way. Because if you say by any means necessary and mean like arming yourself, that's gonna piss people off. They're gonna become scared, and they're not gonna want to follow you. If you do like the Gandhian method of like being peaceful and take the beatings and all that, people are eventually going to be like, this is wrong. I get that logically. Emotionally, though, I would have been on Malcolm X, like, yeah, fuck, like, I'm sick of this shit. We're goddamn right, by any means necessary, load up and let's roll. Right. And we'll take what's our, what we feel that we, are that you are entitled to, basic rights and liberties. So, again, that would, like, if you go that route and actually show that with Michael B. Jordan's character in Killmonger, again, that makes him a much more sympathetic person. And much more of a sympathetic, tragic hero.
Here's another thing that I think that just was not well structured within the first act of the film. So, we talk about how Claw, at the beginning of this film, for about the first 30 minutes, seems like he could potentially be a main villain within this film, and that's not this is not just part of this film's problem, but many Marvel films and DC films is wasting unnecessary villains early on, and then moving into a secondary villain that potentially could be used in another film. So in this case, Claw is really I find him to be a theatrical villain. And I was kind of upset that they did waste him in such a way as to make him really not even an important character whatsoever, because if you, like, as we said, if you had just had Killmonger come to Wakanda early on and challenge T'Challa in that first ritual combat, you would not have the need for Claw whatsoever, because Claw's only real presence is to force a rift between all of the peoples of Wakanda. So there's the 4 main tribes that come together, and if Claw's return, giving Claw back to them, shows that T'Challa couldn't get the job done. So that turns a few of those tribes against him, like Wakabi's tribe. However, that's unnecessary if you have Killmonger first beat T'Challa, because Wakabi was already questioning the isolationist stance that T'Challa has. So if you have Killmonger come in and immediately beat T'Challa in the ritual combat, there's no real need to have Claw, because you could just have Wakabi say, okay, he stands for what I believe in.
He literally could just be the exposition of Killmonger's father is the one that let him take the vibranium. Mm-hmm. And that's why, T'Challa's father had to, killed him because he was a traitor.
Yeah, I just
think...
So
if you just have that, like, again, Claw just becomes like an expositionary character. You don't have to see him, you don't have to know, show what he did. You just have to know this guy, and maybe you can have him show up later on as like a foe in like a different Black Panther
exactly
film.
Or continue to show up.
Yeah,
but now he's wasted. He's
like, he reminds me of Kano from like Mortal Kombat. He literally could just be like a mercenary that constantly shows up through the MCU, just
exactly,
bad guy for hire.
It just seems like he's just too quickly disposed of for no real reason in this film. He's very unnecessary. If you could achieve the same goal by just not having him, and it's, I don't know, again, it just adds more, and perhaps part of the point was to have this white character who's really sort of a MacGuffin again, that he's not really the main focus, but at the same time, it just seems like a waste.
Kind of also a symbolism for racists too.
Sure.
Because when he refers to Wakanda, he calls them savages.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, that's all part of that too, but at the same, I just feel like that's kind of going in unnecessary distance to have that in there when you could have just had it again in like Killmonger's backstory or something like that. It just it was just
well, they had to play Bond for a while.
True.
Before we got to our superhero.
That's literally a Bondian
because you had
style villain.
Well, that and the fact you had, besides the arm that shot, vibranium explosives on.
Sound waves.
Yeah.
Sound waves is supposed to be.
But yeah, no, like when they're doing the interrogation thing, they have like a van of Killmonger and the henchmen, and they, blow up the, interrogation room and break him out. Yeah, it's literally like that. That's like, Skyfall with like Javier Bardem. Like,
oh yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just did not want them to waste Claw in the manner that they did. It just seemed unnecessary. Well, I mean, I guess we've talked at length about the things that we didn't like about the plot itself, but other than that, how did you feel about the plot of Black Panther as you really get into it and see a couple of different thematic things pop out? As you mentioned before, the whole, do we give by any means necessary a shot, or do we stay as sort of an isolationist country who doesn't really get into other people's affairs? That's an obvious theme. There's also the theme of, we probably should work together rather than... there's enough people against us already. We should probably work together in Wakanda rather than kind of diverging as tribes.
Well, at the end, they decide they're not going to conquer and they're not going to remain isolationists. They're going to open the doors and start sharing what their technology and what they know. And
yeah, how do you feel about that? Like,
to me, all I can think of is, so you mean to tell me, because at the end, he's T'Challa's at the UN, addressing them and telling them this. And all I can think of is, like, you mean to tell me, like, the USA and China and Russia are like, yeah,
Let's all work together on this one.
They're like, what the fuck happened? You mean to tell me this country you thought was like a third world dirt poor, poorer than North Korea? They're actually a futuristic society and have, like, they'd be like, literally, they'd be shitting their pants. Why? Because they were shitting their pants in Civil War. Like, we can't, tolerate superheroes. If there's going to be superheroing, you better, assign this accord that says you're going to do what governments say. So you mean to tell me, they're like, oh, yeah, sure, yeah.
Have all the dangerous weapons that you want.
Impossible technology. Yeah. Well, no, now that they're
share them
well,
with
it's
others.
Either if Wakanda, they find out Wakanda has all this vibranium, and they don't share it. Major powers like the USA, France, China, Russia, Japan, Germany, they're gonna be pissed off. Like, what the fuck? We're fucked now. And what the fuck do we do?
Like an insurrection. Almost,
yeah, and then they'd be like our world's turned upside down.
Yeah. But
at the same time, with them be like, let's share it. They're gonna be like, what the fuck? What the fuck do we do? So it's more like, I almost think when Infinity War comes around, like Thanos shows up, like governments are gonna be like, what the fuck do we do? Like, we should side with Thanos, have him crush, these assholes or whatever. I don't know, to me it just seems, contradictory because they were so pissing their pants in Civil War about superheroes having too much leeway, and now it's like you find out, there's a sovereign country that has, this mystifying...
Basically unstoppable unless you have, sound waves, which is apparently the only way that you can... Which doesn't really come out that well in the film, but sound waves are really the only thing that can stop the powers of the vibranium. Obviously because of vibration, and you can stabilize it with sound and things like that. But while it's kind of glossed over in the film, that's the only way you can stop it. So, bullets, no problem.
Black Panther takes, his suit, you just able, take...
And that would be, I feel like that would be a really big thing that other people would be like, okay, well, we can't have Wakanda just having these, or we can't have Wakanda sharing these with Russia. We gotta set up some sort of deal where Wakanda doesn't share with Russia, and I could see it even that might be a interesting film itself, because then you have superhero elements working their way into the real world
and geopolitical,
in a geopolitical spectrum.
See, they can tackle it better than the DCU, where it's like, what do we do with Superman because he's God?
Yeah, yeah, right.
Congress is hearing on Superman because he's God.
I mean, other than that, though, I would say that plotting-wise, I thought that Black Panther was okay, but it certainly I felt quite slow a lot of the time, because it relies so much on exposition. And I would say not even interesting exposition, but literally the exposition that is like, I don't like Killmonger because he would destabilize governments as a militant. And it was like, oh, okay, great. That's what I need to know about Killmonger. It's that kind of exposition where it's surface level, letting you know about something so that the next time it comes around, you'll have that information. Did you find it slow at 2 hours and 15 minutes?
First act.
Yeah, I definitely felt like the first act and probably even half of the second act were just really a drag. Because they're so extended with dialogue and just what I consider to be not really that important exposition. I just found it like a slog to get through that,
But then again, like I said, the third act, it's literally blitzkrieg. The final battles, the last 15 minutes. It's like, it's like, I think back in 7th and 8th grade when you had the triangle, the diagram, the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and conclusion. I feel like this film is literally hour and 40 rising action.
Yeah.
Climax is, that final battle that's 15 minutes long, and then it's 2 minutes of fall and conclusion.
And then most of the conclusion is actually relegated to the the first post-credit scene as part of the credits run, because that press conference that T'Challa's throwing is pretty important to the film, and it's really stuck there in a post-credits scene seems a little counterintuitive to what they were going for there. But I guess that was really a sticking point for me, was that I found that this film was sort of poorly paced, and that it took forever to get into. The ending was really, really rushed. And how about that fight scene in the end of the film there? The fight scene itself with T'Challa and Killmonger, I thought was okay. Kind of anticlimactic, really.
Yeah, because it's taking place because they get knocked down like the fucking pit into the train track,
basically into the mine, the
vibranium mine. Yeah, where in the train that carries the vibranium, they have the sound. That's where we learn from T'Challa's sister that
sound affects the vibranium
and stabilize it. That's how they do it on the train transports. And so that's when they had the final fight. So that way they are both being negated of the power of the vibranium in their suit, and they can just, fight hand to hand, man to man. But that part's like really kind of just slow and tedious.
It's a weird moment because we know that man to man, T'Challa lost. I mean, he literally lost in the first ritual combat. And now, they're operating on sometimes they're Black Panther, sometimes they're not Black, sometimes they're just humans in regular, fighting. And I don't really understand the whole concept of why that was necessary to have sometimes you're a human, sometimes you're Black Panther.
Well, not only that, T'Challa, nothing happened in between him losing the challenge and then him being resurrected.
Right, there was no Dragon Ball Z, I gotta go into this training...
hyperbolic time chamber.
900 years later. In this
you're a mess, you use your spirit gun.
Right, yeah. There's nothing like that. It was literally just he came back from a coma and was like, I'm ready to fight him again. Yeah. The challenge isn't over, because let's face it, the man almost died, he went into a coma. That challenge was over. I don't know, get the rules of the ritual challenge, you must die.
You have to yield or die.
And
he didn't yield?
I would consider you falling off of a waterfall and going into a coma where the only thing that saves you is being given the last remnant of the vibranium plant. I would consider that a yield or a challenge failure.
Yeah, because it's mid-fight, having to stop, hold on, right. Which there's no rope breaks in that challenge fight. Because they literally have a spear circle and it encloses on them, to make
until you basically, until one dies or you fall off the waterfall.
Yeah.
No, it's pretty much over.
But, no, you're right, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense, because when Killmonger shows up, he's like, well, he has the right to challenge. And it's the challenge already happened. He wasn't present,
right,
which would make more sense, if he was the one originally to challenge. Because they'd be on challenge day.
Yeah, it's like speak now or forever hold your peace in marriage. It's you can't come after they're married 6 years later and be well, actually, I
have a right to the throne, and
participate in a glove slap duel. This doesn't work that way. What if the best man's dead?
And not only that too, because T'Challa's dad, who was king before him, he was king. So the succession goes to T'Challa after that. It wouldn't be Killmonger because he's the son of the baby brother. I mean, like I said, I know he has the right to challenge that and, possibly, but again, he wasn't there.
Yeah.
He was probably on the subway, stuck, sitting on the subway, trying to...
Wish I was challenging right now. But I found that in that last fight kind of lacking. It's definitely not as climactic as some of the other Marvel fights. And I get that it's really going for a more human element, even though they're superheroes. There's a more human element to that. I don't know that it worked. Let's talk, because while we're talking about that final fight sequence, let's talk about the CGI a little bit, because a lot of Black Panther devolves into CG guy versus CG guy fighting. And that final sequence on the train tracks kind of resembles something like two helmeted Mortal Kombat guys face to face in a video game.
There's a lot of, I think, to this film and especially Doctor Strange, which makes more sense with Doctor Strange. But even still, like, the CGI is getting ridiculous at this point.
Yeah,
there's so much CGI going on. Granted, it doesn't look bad, but at the same time,
I would disagree with that.
I'm not saying
this film looks not so good with the CGI, and we've really ragged on the DC movies for having poor CGI.
At least it's colorful and not drab.
Right, but I still think that this film not only has bad CGI, but has badly directed CGI. And most action sequences I found were very difficult to follow.
Like that Nigerian night combat scene.
Exactly.
It's like, what? It's like, that whole scene, as we talked about, had no point to it. But not only that, it's like, when the fight breaks out in the shootout, and it's like, what's going on? I don't know, it's dark.
All you can really see is the flashing of the guns.
Yeah,
and it doesn't help that Black Panther's literally in a black suit, blending into the black jungle. You can't see anything. And if the point was to have Black Panther literally be stealthy, that's fine. That's one thing. But these action sequences don't focus on Black Panther being stealthy. They just literally are just fight sequences in the dark, and you can't see shit of what's going on. And then you also can't tell, I would say in that final sequence with Black Panther and Killmonger, their blows back and forth, I felt looked really, really underwhelming, considering, it really was like everything was CGI. CGI guys, CGI train tracks, all of it was CGI. And so it really just resembled like watching a video game of somebody else playing it. Like, yeah, who's going to win? Who's doing the right button combos? I felt like that was really a detraction because I don't think that Black Panther requires that kind of CGI work. Why couldn't they just have had like a Power Rangers style duel? Obviously not to the cheap degree of Power Rangers, but
use Super Sentai footage,
right? but have it be real people doing real stunts rather than a lot of just going to CGI because they have CGI people on hand. Like, hey, can you do that? Yeah, sure. Yeah, no, let me put Black Panther in there as CGI. Some of the other CGI scenes that I thought were pretty bad. The waterfall, where the waterfall opens up and the people are in the crowd, look like some sort of like Dr. Seuss, Whovian village. The way that it was CGI'd in, it was not spectacular.
It was making me think of like Phantom Menace, like Naboo, like how it looked. Like, ooh,
yeah, it was again a very uncanny valley moment of seeing like all those people writhing on the rocks, like sea anemones or something like that. Didn't really resonate well with me.
Have some Gungans pop out, Jar Jar.
I will say one scene that I thought worked really well as an action scene, casino scene. That's probably the only action scene that I thought was a really well shot action scene, and part of it was because of a lot of the unbroken camera shots of like jumping down from the balcony, and getting thrown and stuff while the actual footage was unbroken and not stopping for different camera angles.
Yeah, no, I agree, but again, the whole let's play spy montage, was pointless.
Right. No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that
the car chase was kind of cool too, but at the same time, it's like, it's like a James Bond car chase going on now, and they're, yay. Why? Oh, because he's on a mission to hunt Claw.
Yeah, but I think that, even if we tend to see them as unnecessary, the actual inclusion of them, for one thing, is pretty vital because if they weren't there, then this film would be even more of a drag in the first, 40 minutes. But also, I have to praise them for doing that action sequence because I will say that though I think Ryan Coogler does a serviceable job in this film as a director, I don't think his action scenes are well directed, except for that casino scene. It's probably the only one that really has the good wire work and editing to really pull off these action sequences in a way, because I actually would say Civil War probably has some of the best action set pieces of a Marvel film. And the casino one is really the only one that holds up when you compare it.
Yeah.
Because it resembles some of those scenes from Civil War, like the stairway scene where they're, jumping down the stairwell and stuff like that. Yeah. But other than that, I would say that a lot of these action scenes suffer from what I would like to call the Walking Dead action direction, where you literally can't tell who's who, what's happening, who's shooting at what. That's definitely an issue in Black Panther, especially because this film should have been a little bit more action-packed than it is, and probably could have been directed a bit better with those action scenes. I was disappointed with that. And then being disappointed overall with the pacing of the film, that's an even bigger problem when not only is the pacing off, but then the action scenes are also poorly directed. What are you left with? Not too much in terms of what to like about the film, because that's what you come to a Marvel big budget film to see.
Yeah, but at the same time, like Doctor Strange didn't really have any action in it.
Doctor Strange had some cool esoteric effects, though.
Well, I know, but at the same time, I don't think it has to be like. I don't think Black Panther has. Yeah, like I said, I think if you set it up more, like how we kind of talked about, it make more sense. You don't have to make it be such a big action piece.
No, it doesn't have to
because it's kind of already coming across more Shakespearean. So
I think it could have fisticuffs, though, because the whole idea of ritual combat is really more of a hand-to-hand fisticuffs, weapon-to-weapon sort of thing. It doesn't need the CGI aspect of it.
No, I know, but like I said, I still think them playing James Bond is, though it's one of the more enjoyable things, it's totally pointless.
Or perhaps they got confused with Pink Panther.
That'd be great if he's just walking around like, just like King Clouseau, like. Yeah.
All right. So, what did you find? How did you like the soundtrack? We haven't talked about that yet.
It didn't really stick out to me.
I would say that the soundtrack surprisingly didn't really stick out to me either. It did have a good blend of sort of African style, tribal music, and then which is set really off distinctly from the more trap-based music for Erik Killmonger. I mean, it makes sense because it's like that the dichotomy of their two different views and backgrounds. Although you're right, I found that the soundtrack really didn't jump out to me, and I think I probably would have preferred some more of those.
Well, it's hard. It's the
trap soundtracks, the dynamics of it, because that trap music kind of is really quick. It's just like transition music. It is like just that quick burst of trap music and snare drum, and then all of a sudden done.
Well, it's hard to compete too when you've had Mark Mothersbaugh,
True,
Ragnarok, and
and then you have Guardians of the Galaxy classic music and stuff like that. So I understand that.
So it's. I'm not saying it was bad, but outside of the when they were using more tribal pieces, the soundtrack didn't really stick out to me. It's just like your generic action film, like set piece scores for like the action parts.
Yeah.
So yeah, at least with with Thor Ragnarok, Mark Mothersbaugh's music. They did like what Guardians of the Galaxy did and use like classic rock too, but I still thought like when they used like Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song for like Thor like attacking like the demon, like all right, that's fucking ridiculous. But at least with like when Mark Mothersbaugh's like synthy dithering about, it's like whoa, that's like unique and like interesting and quirky and sounding. So it's like, and I like that kind of music too. So it's like I was like, oh, that sticks out more. It's like it's kind of like if Jeff Goldblum was kind of tinkering around with like a Moog synthesizer, like yeah, wow, listen to that tone. It's nothing I'm going to be writing home about with the soundtrack on this.
All right. And then how did you feel about the acting in this film?
Liked it a lot. I will say that's one of the strong definitely the strongest piece of this film, I would say overall, is the cast.
Mm-hmm.
It's great all around.
Yeah.
Outside of Martin Freeman, which I think he's again, he's literally just there to be generic bland white man.
I mean, I do like Martin Freeman in this. I'm glad that he got a bigger role than he had in like Civil War.
I don't even remember him in Civil War. So
He's in there.
So I was like, wait, so he knows this background, and I'm like I know you hop around in a Panther suit. I'm like, how the fuck do you know that? I don't remember seeing you. Apparently, he was in Civil War. I don't remember, but no, I thought it was good. I mean, that was good. I thought too, like he was kind of misused. I know, like it's kind of funny to see him in the background, especially like because again, you have this all African American cast outside of him and Andy Serkis as Claw. But I mean, like, so it's funny, like, when, like, they're meeting the one tribe and they're trying to beg to him, like, the leader for that T'Challa originally lost to, and they're, like, begging for help and assistance, and they're talking to him, and then when Martin Freeman tries talking, they just, like, start barking at him and laughing at him, like, you have no word here. So it's funny to see, to kind of see that, but at the same time...
That's what all white people are afraid of now.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. But at the same time, like, cause especially at the end, like, cause, he's a fighter pilot, and you see, like, the fighter pilot sequence, and it's like, he's gonna die a hero's death. Nope!
Yeah, he's fine.
Nope.
He'll be back for another film.
That was pointless, There
was, like, 3 times where he almost dies in this.
Yeah, it's like, but they're all, like, so it's all like, that's pointless.
Yeah.
That went nowhere. I'm not saying he was bad, but at the same time, I'm just saying, like, they don't give him anything
right,
to do.
And I think that's part of the point, too.
But at the same time, it's like, I don't think they didn't have to have a CIA agent fucking come to Wakanda.
True.
At the end of the day, whether he helped them out or not, T'Challa was set on, like, we're gonna, this is how we're going to go on as, from now on. This is my policy, this is my decree. So I think he's just overall, he's not bad, but it's just pointless. But I do think the cast is really good all around. I think everybody in here is enjoyable. I think if there was a weaker cast, the shortcomings of the opening first act would be a lot less tolerable and be a lot more dragged out, because I think it's more of the performance and the actual written characterization of these characters that makes, you're able to sit through and connect and enjoy them.
And I think that, like, specifically, Michael B. Jordan does really his best to get the most out of Killmonger. Whether the script is really there for it or not, I think he does try his best to get...
He doesn't have a lot of dialogue.
He doesn't. No, that's part of the problem, is that, like, for much of the film, he doesn't really even have dialogue or is shown on the film. So that's part of the problem. He's got, like, a limited amount to work with. But I think he does a good job of that. I think Chadwick Boseman's really good as T'Challa / Black Panther. I think he just has a style and slinkiness, I would say.
He's Black Panther. Also given a lot more to do in this, because in Civil War he's kind of he's just there.
He's just kind of there.
He's just there to help Iron Man.
Yeah,
because of what happened to his dad at the
But I think he's a good choice to be Black Panther. Definitely the right role for that. I gotta say, I love Sterling K. Brown. I wish he had more of a chance to really shine as Njobu, but he's kind of killed off pretty quickly. And but I do love him. I love him in all of his roles, really, that I've seen him in. And here he gets to really rock the 90s look too, of the rap 90s in Oakland. So that's great.
How'd you like Forrest Whitaker? Typecasted.
Forrest Whitaker, and his eye is
typecasted into sagely black man.
Yep, he is. Also gets to sacrifice himself, so it's always nice to see. Gets to be the hero. Sort of like.
Well, though it doesn't help, because T'Challa still, like, he sacrifices himself in that first challenge, trying to have
It's almost like one of those
save T'Challa's life.
Gundam moments where they're like, I'll sacrifice yourself, and it's like, no, you really don't have to. We can just run.
Yeah, it's like they die. It's like, that's pointless. You threw your life away.
Yeah, it is one of those.
Because T'Challa still gets his ass like literally beat, and then like kind of. I was thinking like when Killmonger picks him up and throws him off the waterfall. It's like Bane breaking the bat. Like,
yeah,
just
basically.
Like, yep, bye, bitch.
Yep.
Just-
Yep.
Though, T'Challa's road to recovery was quick.
That's true. All he needed was some vibranium to eat. Or drink, I guess. And that's it.
And some snow.
That's
Because if he left the snow, he would have died.
Yeah. I do think that the vibranium is a little bit much, though. Like,
Well,
it's
with
very, very powerful.
With everything it can do, like it's a medicine that you can inject in.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Put
It
into
makes you powerful.
It's like a senzu bean, and it also creates all this technology.
It's like, whoa.
They should just have a whole movie like dedicated, like this is how vibranium works.
Yeah.
Like an hour and a half film, like educational.
Or like Willy Wonka and the Vibranium Factory or something like that.
That was Ragnarok.
Yeah, that's true. Other than that, I think like the rest of the secondary cast too is really good. There's not really a bad cast member or bad apple in this. So I thought pretty much everything was really good on that scope. And really it does help drive the film, because other than that, I think there would be some moments where they really fell flat. Do you have anything else you want to add about Black Panther before we go into a rating here? I think I pretty much exhausted everything that I had wanted to say about it.
We've spent just about the entire film talking about
Yeah.
film's runtime.
Yeah. So I guess we'll give it a rating on a scale of 1 to 10. What do I want to give? What's the scale here? 1 to 10. Coming up with nothing here.
Or rhinos.
There you go. That's a good one. 1 to 10 war rhinos. What would you give Black Panther?
Give it a 7.
Okay.
Give it a 7 out of 10.
You want to expound, or you
we
pretty much expounded.
Like I said, it's a stereotypical, hits all the notes of what you expect from a Marvel origin story film. It's literally beat for beat. It's the same damn thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's enjoyable. It is kind of a drag at point, especially in the beginning. Well, I still think it's an enjoyable film. I liked it. I'd watch it again. But I don't see how this is like being heralded, though, by so many people as like this is like the greatest superhero film. Calm your tits. No, it's not. It's got some interesting themes that it's trying to get across, but again, they're too surface level and shallow for me to like take. Like it's like, okay, you're throwing commentary in there, but you're not really doing anything with it. It's like RoboCop the remake with the Samuel L. Jackson Fox News-esque. It's like, great, you're fucking 5 years too late on that. I'm not saying that with this topic of what happened, the themes that they're trying to address in Black Panther, but at the same time, it's like, watch a blaxploitation film, a good one, like Black Caesar, like Sweet Sweetback, like Superfly. You'll get a better picture of African American themes and culture than what this does. I think it's too shallow in its themes of social activism for it to be heralded as this great masterpiece and cornerstone of pop culture that's addressing all these issues. I do think it is culturally significant in the fact that it is such a mainstream hit and a superhero film that does have it does have a black superhero. It does have an all dominant black cast, and it shows them all in a positive light and all these things. And it is good and it's great and it is culturally relevant. However, I think with the themes it's trying to address, it's too shallow. And I think overall as a Marvel film, it's just, it's your run of the mill. It's not Spider-Man Homecoming. It's not Civil War.
Yeah, I would agree. I actually probably would give this film a 6.5. I think that it's probably my least favorite of the Marvel films that I've seen thus far. And I really did go into this wanting to like this film, but I found it to be just too much of a drag. It was very slow. I found it to be tedious at times, hitting on things in exposition that really didn't need to be done, like the whole T'Challa becoming king, or really leaving out really important parts of exposition, like giving us a backstory for Killmonger besides what is literally just told to us by Martin Freeman's character. That's a really big issue for me, because I did want to feel like the empathy that we're supposed to get from Killmonger, but at the same time, I feel like it was really shoehorned in because we didn't get a chance to see any of the hardship that he experienced besides, coming of age without a dad, perhaps. And even that we don't get to see. We literally just get to see a real snippet of his childhood, when he has a dad and then when he doesn't. And obviously we can put together those pieces of what it's like to live in Oakland versus in Wakanda, but I just felt like they squandered that opportunity to give us more information about this character and to really make him into a sympathetic character, because Killmonger is just absent from a lot of the film too. Now, I thought all of the cast did a great performance. Chadwick Boseman, I think, is really good. Michael B. Jordan, good for what he's given, but just not a lot. Lupita Nyong'o, Denai Guerrera from Walking Dead, which is Michonne. I thought they all did a great job, but a lot of them aren't given a lot to do. And one of the things that I found really interesting is that though this is a pretty progressive film in terms of African Americans roles for Black people, a primarily Black cast, not so much on the feminine front in terms of giving women things to do. There is a woman tribe of warriors, but they don't even seem that powerful because literally 4 of them have to fight one Michael B. Jordan. And then also, it's pretty funny that this society is just literally patriarchal. And they did not even think about potentially passing along the Black Panther opportunity to someone like Okoye, who has proven to be a good fighter when, obviously T'Challa is out of commission and they think maybe dead. They instead go to the ruler of one of the tribes that fought T'Challa originally in the ritual combat, rather than potentially trying out Okoye as a new Black Panther. So, not so much progressive in that sense. But other than that, I really found this to just be a mediocre Marvel movie. I felt like a lot of the humor was actually a miss in this one. I did like some of the more mature elements to the film, like the darker killings that occur in this, because there are actually a lot more killings in this film than you generally see in a Marvel film that has sort of a darker tone to it.
Yeah, I would say I disagree, because even though Killmonger gets stabbed at the end, it's a very a clean cut. They don't show.
There's not blood, but he does shoot his girlfriend in the head just to kill her. It's a pretty cold-hearted moment. So I think this does have a sort of a darker tone than some of the other Marvel films do, because there is that some of the humor, but then it does have a dark undertone to it. But I think that for the most part, I found this to be a really mediocre Marvel film. A bit disappointed with it, and probably my least favorite out of the series. Anything else? I think that's it.
No, that's it.
I think I touched on everything for Black Panther that I wanted to. Next week, not next week, but the next episode, which would be in 2 weeks, because we're a bi-weekly podcast now, we had talked about doing a Western film. And is that still on the table?
Yeah.
Do you know which one you want to do?
We'll figure it out.
All right, we haven't figured it out yet. I'm not sure if it'll be a spaghetti Western, if it'll be a American Western. Don't know. But there are a few options that we can do that will, bat around here. But it should be fun because we haven't really done a Western film in
since the first
episode. So it's been a long time since we've done one. It'll be a good time. We should probably have done that for like the 200th episode. We're finally going to do a Western film again. Anybody who was tuned in on that first one was like, great, finally, a podcast that does spaghetti Westerns. Well, they were really upset by what we turned into, I bet. But we're going to do another one next time. So tune in for that. Remember to check us out. We're on Podbean now. Podbean is our new podcast host. You can find us at bloodandblackrumPodcast.podbean.com. You can follow us on there. We do have a Patreon account on there, so if you'd like to donate to us, you can do so, and it does come out monthly. Just keep that in mind. We are on Stitcher, iTunes, and pretty much any other podcasting app that you can think of. We're on Facebook at facebook.com/bloodandblackrumpodcast. We also have a Twitter at bloodandblackrum, and we have an email address at bloodandblackrumpodcast@gmail.com. So let us know what you think of the show. Give us any films that you want us to cover, and just basically any criticism that you have for us, let us know. Other than that, we'll be back in 2 weeks with a Western for you, we promise. And other than that, wish you a good night and take care.
Have fun.